And again, um, like I say, billions or trillions of years ago, um, I figured out the way first particles could exist on, or basically how they would work. Um, Something weird like that. I had to delete that information though, where I got lost. It was also disputed because some other person was saying he was epic creator or something like that, and so it was highly disputed. And and I would needed metal or matter for something, but the matter wasn't dense enough, and I found a way to make it more dense with this for suns and stars and stuff. And it was a problem of changing the state of matter, which we figured out. I figured out. So, and this is long before humans or most life forms came along. And over the years, I was adapting the exoskeletons more and more and more, figure out different ways they could breathe, all that kind of stuff. And then and technically humans did this whole time travel thing where they tried to get before me or something like that, which is weird. Anyway, though, so as time goes on, they blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I start doing all kinds of other life forms. I start doing whole galaxies because they start to bump into each other, and pretty much like what my life forms do and what I do are kind of like one and the same in many ways. At least there was before when things were simpler, and um, and over the years, where was I going with this? Anyway, over the years, the whole thing. I keep losing my train of thought. Anyway, I've said this before, but I mean because it's kind of ridiculous anyway, though. But I start out with the four basic life forms, and then I move on from there, which is basically a smart exoskeleton and stuff like that, and some other life forms. And over the years, we get more and more advanced, and then we start doing whole galaxies and stuff. And then I eventually do the endoskeletons and create like different planetary life forms and ecosystems and food for my life forms to eat because of course they need food or sustenance. And I forget exactly the long term, like it's like billions of years basically, or millions of years. It's a ridiculous amount of time. Um, like even in a billion years, you can do a lot. So anyway, eventually I do this, and I don't know about the 12 planets. I do a couple other galaxies. I mean, I do big stuff, ridiculously big stuff, and I mean, even after I've basically retired as doing big stuff because I do 800 galaxies, and then I'm like just kind of cruising around, kicking it. There's not much to do really other than just go planet to planet and just cruise around basically. So millions of years doing that, and eventually here. So, and then it's really the humans that start contesting everything basically, and it's kind of ridiculous anyway because it's like whatever. Anyway, so anyway, oh, that's where I was going with this. Anyway, though, JFK and all that, he starts doing like this war fantasy, pirate fantasy. He does the pirate ring or whatever using stolen ships that were like my I had like practice ships, practice submarines that were actually in Germany or whatever, and they take them out there and start doing this thing that they call the American or United States or whatever, but it's actually like Yankee pirate stuff. And they're raiding ships and basically giving food to like Truman and Roosevelt and stuff like that. And they're basically just stealing stuff, mostly from the smaller vessels, like the Chinese merchants and all that other stuff. People, just normal people, basically, and harassing them, and then sinking their ships after they offload, take all the stuff that they can off the ships, and then they give it to the Republicans to do this whole Republican thing or whatever. And like it goes over like 50 or 100 years or whatever, a whole lifetime, pretty much. And possible other successive JFK clones. I'm not exactly sure. Because they do get cloning. Anyway, though. So basically, they're doing this pirate thing with my student submarines. And it becomes a problem, and I start having some other submarines, my bigger submarines, my more advanced submarines, go chasing after them because they basically killed the crew or locked up the crew and basically ran off to pretty much go do their little pirate fantasy whatever. And later on they're doing like aircraft fantasy bombing whatever, JFK and some other people, and pretty much basically wrecking the earth, pretty much, and basically causing mass chaos and disorder. And it's really a problem, really, in the end. I mean, Africa comes up and stuff like that, and it just becomes this huge, like, war. And, it's basically Nixon and some other ones doing, like, this fantasy where they have aircraft, like, protecting them and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. And it's like, wow. Huh. Anyway, though, JFK thinks he's protected. He thinks he's like some sort of hot whatever, and has the backing of somebody powerful or something. But it's just Jimmy Carter and some others, and basically, pretty much I smack them down, and then I torture the shit out of him and probably them, because I have like 4 life forms or whatever. I don't really like, normally I don't keep things like I did. Used to have a lot of secrets, actually, a lot of secrets. Like I had the normal out in the open stuff, but then I had the stuff that no one knew about, just in case. Basically, I used to actually be very secretive, but then I do non-secretive as well, and just open with everything. Anyways, so I had these 4 life forms or more that no one had ever seen before or hadn't seen in trillions of years, and they were out there. I mean, there's 800 galaxies, so of course there's life forms, and some I was doing even complete life form chains or something like that, like long, like whole ecosystems and all that. I mean, it got pretty big towards the end, 800 galaxies, and room to grow and stuff, and some starter things, because I wanted to see if life could evolve and all that. So it's just like a huge amount of stuff, and then I just cruise around, and I eventually come here and whatever, take a vacation or whatever. Anyway, though, but JFK and Nixon and I do all this stuff here. They just do like this little fantasy thing, and others watch it. I watch it. It's pretty bad and just sick, and pretty much, I was having some things researched, just in case, because you never know when a tribe is going, because basically Britain and Germany, they're my tribe pretty much, and I protect them. And just like, I mean, Africa is kind of like my tribe too, but they're kind of like pushing on people, and they haven't really embraced the modern day, or they didn't, or they weren't. So anyway, though, so it gets really, really, really big and advanced and stuff like that. But I mean, it's like I do whole 800 galaxies and ridiculous stuff. So what I do on Earth is just inventing and stuff like that, but it's still leading a tribe, basically, in a planet, pretty much. I lead planets and galaxies. I create them as well. So it's what I do. Um, anyway, though, but JFK and the other ones, they think that they can just do whatever they want. It's like, well, not really. I mean, there's me and there's 800 other galaxies. So they all have to get along, and there's a lot more dangerous life forms than humans. Like, humans have to be careful and watch out what they do. Otherwise, there's lots of life forms that could squash them. So, and JFK and some other people thought that they were like the hot thing in the galaxy, or that they could make something more powerful. It's like, well, probably not. 100 trillion years or a couple 100 billion years, 800 galaxies, you're probably not going to invent or know anything that hasn't already been invented or known. So, I mean, trillions of years ago.